Hot take coming in here, but Lokix might be one of the coolest Pokemon of a generation. At least on paper, the concept sounds pretty fun, but in execution it was a little less than satisfactory. Personally, I've become a fan of this Pokemon. It's taken the course of Scarlet and Violet for me to really understand what's going on here, but at the same time I really do wish it was a little better. Lokix evolves from Nimble and is available relatively early in the game, kinda sorta making it the early bug Pokemon of the Paldea region. Depending on how you want to count Tarantula and Spidops, I guess they could both take the spot. The point is that Lokix is basically a little grasshopper Pokemon that takes some heavy inspiration from the Tokusatsu genre. Specifically Kamen Rider, because that one has all the bug superheroes and they all do the kick, I think. I've never watched the series myself. Let me know if that's something I should check out, but at least to my eyes I can definitely see the connection, and I think that Lokix is a really cool idea. But when it comes to how it was presented initially, yeah, this is some generational aura loss going on here. This is the first and only Bug Dark Pokemon in the entire game, as it gains a typing when evolving from Nimble, becoming a full-on anti-hero. The Pokédex entries are even really cool. When it decides to fight all out, it stands on its previously folded legs to enter Showdown mode. It neutralizes its enemies in short order. It uses its normally folded third set of legs when in Showdown mode. This places a huge burden on its body, so it can't stay in this mode for long. So that is at least a really neat idea, because we have the legs folded up here, and then in different action shots you actually get to see it use them. And I think it's really cool that they gave this Pokemon a form change. Wait, what's that? They didn't give it a form change? Then why is Showdown mode capitalized here? So yeah, apparently Showdown mode is purely a visual change and has nothing to do with stats or ability. Alright, yeah, I see why people kinda forget about this Pokemon. Which is something I really don't get, because this is the same generation that gave us Palafin. Whether or not you like the design of this Pokemon and how it handles that form change, you definitely can't deny the effectiveness when it comes to battling. So anyway, going back to Lokix, I do really like the design, using the darker colors here and actually making it look like a bug as well as a person wearing a suit. Really fits into the inspirations. But then again, maybe it looks a little too much like a bug and not enough like a human. I know, definitely something we don't hear all the time for Pokemon, but when you realize just how small this Pokemon is, it seems underwhelming. Look, I know that size isn't everything, but for a Pokemon that is effectively supposed to be a superhero, I think it should be a bit taller. I mean, just look at something like Scizor. That one is still a bug Pokemon, and if anything, the design is a bit simpler than Lokix, but giving it the overall stature that it has makes it stand out. And really though, this does all culminate in the official artwork for Lokix. This was one of the many Pokemon in Generation 9 that had 2D artwork that just did not look amazing, effectively looking like a traceover of a standard 3D model when it wasn't moving. Which is definitely not the purpose of 2D artwork in Pokemon. Yes, it is meant to be the standard image used to promote a Pokemon, but there should at least be some kind of energy or movement present. And again, 3D models in Pokemon normally only look bad when they're standing still. When you actually put in some animations, the way that 3D models are meant to be used, they're very effective. Again, with Lokix specifically, it's able to communicate the form change, or I guess extra mode as we're gonna call it. So for a while after the immediate release of Pokémon Scarlet and Violet, Lokix wasn't really talked about all that much. That is until we started getting some additional media. Technically, this is supposed to be one of Katie's signature Pokemon aside from her terastallizing Teddiursa and Ursaring, and so over in the anime when she actually gets to battle, that is when we see Lokix do its thing. Yeah, this clip was going around social media for a while, and once I got to the actual episode, it was pretty good. Just the way that the writers and the animators totally understood the assignment when it comes to Lokix. And over in the trading card game, it's a similar story, at least when it comes to the artwork. Basically, every single piece of artwork in the trading card game has some really nice posing and it's very dynamic, showing off the power of Showdown mode. Like, one of them even just has it standing on a rooftop at night in the rain. You cannot tell me that isn't amazing. Though I will say that most of these cards are just okay, if at all. Some of them are really gimmicky, and then some of them just basically do nothing. I will say though that the first one we got in Paldea Evolved is one of my favorites. It has a move that does a lot of damage for a single energy if it had evolved this turn, and I will tell you that is very useful in a sealed environment. When I attended the pre-release for Paldea Evolved, the build and battle kit that I got had this Lokix in it, so that basically became my star Pokemon and is how I got all my wins. Then when I went to Los Angeles Regionals and attended some of the side events, one of them was using build and battle kits and I just happened to get the exact same one I got before. So once again, Lokix was my star player. And really that first moment is when I got to appreciate this Pokemon a whole lot more. Unfortunately, like I said, this card is pretty much only good in a sealed or limited environment, because otherwise, for some reason, we've never gotten a Lokix EX. There is a Spidops EX, and it even has a really cool illustration rare version, but absolutely none of that for Lokix. Come on man, it really needed it, could you imagine? So if anything, that is one of my most wanted cards, one that doesn't exist. Although maybe they're holding out for something even better. Because while Nimble and Lokix are a pretty cool pair of Pokemon, personally I think there should have been a third stage. Obviously I think this evolution should have existed in Generation 9, but I think that going into Generation 10 they really have a golden opportunity. Sort of similar to how the DLC for Scarlet and Violet gave us Pokemon like Hydrapple and Archaludon, an evolution and an alternate evolution to a Pokemon that we had just gotten the previous generation. So I am saying that it is not out of a realm of possibility. So making Fakemon is not necessarily something I want to do a whole bunch of on the channel, and obviously I didn't really make any artwork for this, but I will just give a quick little pitch. So visually I think maybe the evolution can look like a step up from Lokix, basically just imagine a black Scizor, but I do think that this evolution should also have an alternate form.
So this is editing GatorEX coming in at like 1 AM while I'm finishing things up, and I couldn't help myself. I tried doodling some really quick for the alternate form for this Pokemon, so hey, here's the artwork.
So anyway, generally I think this alternate form should be something pretty upfront. Give it a unique ability, like something called Showdown Drive or whatever. This would give it a decent stat boost when going into battle, being very quick and powerful up front, but after a few turns it would overheat and shift back into the general form. This would keep the attack stat high but lower the speed back to normal. We could also give it like a signature move or something. Maybe call it something like Showdown Kick. Maybe give it like priority when it's in the showdown mode, but if it's in the general form, maybe it takes a bit of recoil damage. Basically, this is built off of the information that we had from the original Pokédex entry. Though yeah, also I don't think I mentioned a name, we could call it, I don't know, Lokix or something. When I'm editing the video, maybe it'll turn out better and you'll understand what I'm trying to do here. But anyway, those were just some of my thoughts about Lokix, a Pokemon that has really become a favorite of mine in the past few years. At least a favorite of mine when it comes to Generation 9. At some point I think it would be really fun to replay through Scarlet and Violet using one on my team. But for now I guess maybe I could build like a draft cube or something and just put a bunch of the Paldea Evolve Lokix in there. So let me know what you think about Lokix in the comments below. Are you a fan of the design, the concept, and what do you want to see for it going forward? If you enjoyed watching, remember to leave a like, subscribe, hype up the video as well. But for the moment I should be moving along because my Showdown mode is at its limit. Thank you to every channel member for your continued support, including the great Gators, Cemetery Hill, Byron Brown, Saturn, Jammy, David Scalf, Being Meguka is Suffering, Cosmo Zero, Alex with Shiny Hunts, Starshooter, Koi13, Cheez-It62, GatorKid509, TF, Mathaclock947, Taijirai, and Quago. If you would like to support your name here, get access to emotes, for comments, live streams, sometimes early videos, and our members only Discord server, you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky as well for more memes. Anyway, this is GatorEX and I will catch you all later.
Ride into adventure with Masked Rider on Fox Kids.
Activate!
He's the one dude you don't want to bug.
You can't beat Masked Rider!
For tongue-twisting adventure, who you gonna call?
Masked Rider!
For rocketing thrills you can really sink your teeth into.
Masked Rider!
For suspense that grabs you and blows your mind.
Masked Rider!
He's cool.
Let's rock!
Electrifying.
Way cool!
Be there for the adventures of Masked Rider.
Stick around!
Later today, only on Fox Kids.